if we don't know the exact count of iterations in advance, so that time we can use while loop and do while loop. Then when to use while loop and when to use do while loop. Today we will learn do while loop in Java. We already learned what is loop, how many type of loop available in Java. And we already learned for loop and while loop. And we also did some example, but today we will learn do while loop. Now in for loop we understand that we have this type of syntax, and if we know the exact iterations count in advance, then that time we will use for loop. But if we don't know the exact count of iterations in advance, then that time we learn that we can use while loop. But today we will also learn that not only while loop, we can also use do while loop if we don't know the exact count of iterations in advance. So now you can understand that if we don't know the exact count of iterations in advance, so that time we can use while loop and do while loop. Then when to use while loop and when to use do while loop. So this is a while loop syntax where we use while, then under that conditions, and then statement. So in the very previous iterations of the loop, we first check the condition. So that's why we already learned that this is called a entry control loop. Now coming to do while loop, this is basically the syntax of do while loop, where first we have to type do, then your brackets start here and end here, and under that your statement or your business logic, and then on the end of these brackets you will do your while conditions. So you can see in our while loop we are basically doing our conditions very entry point of the loop, but here we are doing our conditions on the exit point of the loop. So that's why it is called exit control loop. So do while loop is also called an exit control loop. Now coming to the definitions or when to use the do while loop instead of while loop. So you can see here we can use do while loop when we want to execute loop body at least once even condition is false. So what it means, again I repeat, we can use do while loop when we want to execute loop body at least once even condition is false. So let me go back again. So you can see here that here my do statement says that perform your operations or statement or your business logic whatever the conditions is, may be true or may be false, it's not bother, but very initial or very first time it will execute the statement or your business logic for the first time. Then if the condition is true, it again do the same type of operations or the statement, but if it's false then it will exit from this loop. But you can see here it first says that perform your operations, do your business logic or do your statement, okay, then it will check the condition. So if your condition is true or false, any type of situations, it first execute the first iteration. So that's mean here it says that do while loop we can use if we want to at least execute our loop body at least one. The do while loop flowchart is look like this. So loop start here, then first we print the statement or do our business logic under the loop body, then it will check the condition. If your conditions gets true, then it will again execute the statement, and if again it's check and if it's again, then it will again execute this statement, means your iterations going on till these conditions gets true, but once it's false then it will end the loop. So the same syntax we written here, first your do, then for second bracket start here your logic or statement, then second bracket close, then your while conditions, and here you have to keep in mind you have to put a semicolon. Now let's create an example using do while loop where problem statement is like that user can enter any number except 0, and based on that number we have to recollect that number and create a logic for summation, and finally if user enter 0, so it will display the summations of all the entered number. So first check this one using this flow. So you can see here my program start here. Now we have to create some variable sum where initialize it with 0, then every time user enter a number using this loop. This is basically do while loop start here, where input of n, that's mean every time user enter a value and that will be collected in n variable, then it will go here and calculate the summation. Sum is equal to sum plus n. Previously sum value is 0, then whatever the value entered by user, that will be added here, and finally it will check if n not equal to 0. That's mean any value that entered by user, if that is not equal to 0, then it will again reiterate that loop. But if it is 0, then it will go for this false part, and finally based on the number of iterations or number of the value entered by user, the summations will be printing here. So let's check this one using some excel with some value, then we will create this program in Eclipse. Now if you check, first our summations initial value is 0. Now let's say user going to this loop. So this is my iterations 1, okay, and in this iterations 1, let's say user enter a value 10. Now it's go the next step and it's check sum is equal to sum plus n. So what is sum plus n? So previously sum is 0, now 0 plus n, n is 10, so 0 plus 10 is equal to 10. Now it will check is n not equal to 0. N means we entered as 10. So is 10 not equal to 0? Yes. So it's a true statement. It will go here and then ask user to enter the second input in next iteration. So if it is second iterations, and in second iterations user enter another value, let's say 5, then my n value is 5, then in the next step sum is equal to sum plus n. So previously my summation is 10, now 10 plus n is now 5, so that's mean it's 15. Now my summations calculated it here as 15. Now once this is 15, it will again check is 15 not equal to 0? Yes, then it will go again here, and for the third iteration it again asks for the next input. So let's say it is my third iterations, and here user enter another value, let's say again 5. So now my second statement is sum is equal to sum plus n. So previously sum was 15, now sum is equal to this 15 plus n I have inputted as 5. So 15 plus 5 is equal to 20. Now it will again check n not equal to 0, that's mean n I have put here as 5. Is 5 not equal to 0? Yes, then it will go here, and in a fourth iteration it will ask enter the next number or enter the number. Now let's say user enter a value 0 because he wants or I want to check the summation. So I enter a value 0. Now it will go here and again calculate sum is equal to sum plus n. So previously sum was 20 and n I have inputted here as 0. So again my summation is 20 plus 0 is equal to 20. Now it will go here and check my n value that I entered here 0. So is 0 not equal to 0? Then it is definitely a false statement, because I have entered a 0 value and 0 not equal to 0. This is a false statement. So that's mean it will go here and finally print the calculated sum value. So what is my calculated sum value? That is basically 20, and it will print that summations is equal to 20. So if you check here, first I enter 10, then I enter 5, then again I enter 5. So in my three iterations I enter 10 5 5 and the summations is come as 20. And why it's showing in this way? Because I have given 0, and 0 means it will exit from this loop and finally print the summations of all the iterations number that is inputted by user or me. So now it will print the summations value is equal to 20. Now if you understand these iterations through this logic, now just simply use the same flow or same step in your Eclipse and that will give you an exact result. So let's do that in Eclipse. Now open your Eclipse. I have opened it and I have already created a class do while example under the same com.demo.loop package, and this is my main method. Let me double click here to get a wider view. Now here I have to create this type of program that just learn from this flow. So you can see here two variable I have to create, one is n and one is sum, and we have to initialize sum with 0. So let me create two integer variable int and then sum equal to initial value is 0. So my two variable is created and I have initiated it with 0. Now I have to take the input, but before that we have to create the do while loop. So you can see here my do statement or do syntax will start here. So first create a do statement here, then we know the syntax, we have to create a second bracket start and end, and then here our while conditions, right? And it will be terminated with semicolon. So first we have to create some statement so that user can understand that he has to put some input, right? So create a statement here, system.out.println, and under it create a statement like enter any number except 0 to add and enter 0 to check the summations. Now here we have to collect this value, so definitely under this n variable, so make it n is equal to. Now how we can collect that one? So definitely we have to take the help of scanner class. So create an instance of scanner class like this and then import the exact package by click on this icon and double click here. So you can see my scanner class util package is imported here. Now my scanner class instance is ready, and use this instance to take the input like n is equal to sc dot, and as it's an integer so we have to use next int. Then our first statement and taking the value under n variable, that is done. Always remember to save it using Ctrl S. Now go to this flow again. In my flow, input is taken. Now the next step is sum is equal to sum plus n. Sum is our another variable which was basically initiate with 0 value. So you can see here that is the same. So here again the next statement should be sum is equal to sum plus the value we entered and collected under n variable. So make the n here and then semicolon. Now save it using Ctrl S. So our two statement is done. Now the condition n not equal to 0. So this is my while, and here I have to write the condition that is basically n not equal to 0. Okay, so my total while loop conditions is done, and every time it is true so it will automatically iterate and calculate the summations here. Now finally if it's false, then it will exit from this loop. That's mean my exit from this loop means next line, and here I have to print the calculated sum. Okay, so here create a print statement again and create sum equal to, then we know that how we can take this sum value here, so plus sign, then this sum variable where the calculated value is stored, put it here. Now save it using Ctrl S. Now our program is ready based on this. Now here you have to see one more thing. Here I am getting an advice like resource leak SC never is never closed. So in my previous few example I have not explained this one because to make the program more easy to understand yourself. Now it is a best practice always to close your scanner class instance once you created that one. And you can see here the suggestions, resource leak SC is never closed. So always remember it is a best practice once your print statement is done. So you can see here I need this print statement every time, and based on this print statement I am collecting the value from user using this scanner class. So that's mean every time I am using this scanner class instance under this loop. So once this is done, then I can close this scanner class instance using sc dot close this syntax. Okay, so this is a best practice. Always remember this once you create any instance of scanner class, always close this scanner class. Okay, how and what type of problem we will face if we not close that one, that we will discuss in different session. But remember this is a best practice. Once you instantiate any scanner class, do remember to close it using this type of syntax. Okay, now make this Ctrl S to save this file. Now double click it here. So I have created all these flow item here, Now it's time to execute this one. So once you save this, just click on this run button. Now here you can see it says enter any number except 0 to add and enter 0 to check the summation. So I want to add first 10, then I enter. So it asks me the next number to be add. So let me enter 20. Again, let's say I want one more, let's say 30. Okay, so I have enter, you can see here 10, then 20, then 30. Then next time I want to execute the result, I don't want to enter anything. So here you, the statement clearly says that enter 0 to check the summation. So let me enter a 0 and enter here. So you can see the summations I am getting here is 60. So 60 means 10 plus 20 plus 30, that is equal to 60. Now let's do some other example. Let's say run it again and put some value, let's say 10. Now enter some negative value, let's say -5, then enter, and let's say again put some -2, then let's say 20. So what I have put, first 10, then -5, then -2, then 20. So if you calculate manually, so that is basically 10 minus 5 is 5, then -2 is 3, then plus 20 is equal to 23. So let me check the result. So how we can check the result? We have to enter 0 and you can see the summation is coming as 23. So this program basically give me the summations of every time enter value. So this way you can create a do while loop. So there are two ways. If you don't know the exact count of iterations in advance, so you can use while loop or do while loop. But for the main difference between while and do while loop is that in do while loop you are going to give the permission to the system that at least you want this loop body to be execute at least once your body should be executed. So this is the main difference between while and do while loop, and using this type of syntax you can easily create an example of summations that I explain in this flow. So hope you understand this one. Let's meet in our next class.
I believe this video has helped you to understand about the topic. Thank you for watching. Please do subscribe, click on the bell notifications and select all so that you don't miss any video from this channel.